The film begins with a boat drifting in the open sea, where a man has been living for a long time. Not by choice, but out of necessity. His name is Mariner. He had turned this boat into his home, forced to stay there because this is a time when all the glaciers have melted, the water level has risen drastically, and the earth has completely disappeared. Now, the few people who survived wander the oceans on boats and ships, yet they still hold hope that somewhere in the farthest corner of the world, there exists a small patch of land where they can settle and live peacefully. After this, Mariner dives into the water searching for food, trying to catch fish. Despite searching for a long time, he finds nothing and returns to his boat. There, he spots another boat and speaks to its owner. Mariner says that according to the law of the sea, when two strangers meet out on the water, they help each other and exchange goods. But the other man refuses, saying he doesn't want to trade anything, nor does he need help. He then sails away with his boat. In truth, that man had stolen Malta from Mariner's boat and feared that Mariner had called him over only to confront him, so he thought it better to leave before trouble began. But soon, some seafarers appear in the distance. When the man on the boat goes a little further, he again tries to steal from Mariner. This angers Mariner, who speeds his boat after him, attacks, and destroys the man's boat before sailing away. Shortly after, the seafarers catch up to the man, attack, and kill him. After this, Mariner heads to a floating tribe in the sea, intending to sell his belongings. But they refuse to buy anything, as his items were useless to them. Mariner then shows them a large bottle of mud. Upon seeing this, the tribe's chief invites him inside. Because water covers everything, mud is extremely rare and valuable, used to grow grain and always in demand. The chief offers 4 coins for it, but Mariner, knowing its worth, demands 8 coins. They agree and hand him the payment. Mariner then takes the money to a shop to buy supplies, but the shop has almost nothing for sale. Only a few items remain. He purchases some fresh water and a tomato plant since water was scarce and seawater could not be drunk. He gives half of his money to the shop's owner, Helen, in exchange. As Mariner prepares to leave, members of the tribe approach with a girl and propose that he marry her. If he agrees, they say he may take whatever he wants from the settlement. Their intention was clear. They wanted him as part of the tribe because he was strong and brave, unlike their own cowardly people. They believed that if Mariner married and had a child, that child would also inherit his bravery. But Mariner firmly refuses the marriage and starts to leave. This refusal makes the tribe suspicious, leading them to believe that Mariner is not human, but a water fairy, since he had wandered alone in his boat for so long. And today, even when offered marriage, he rejected it, something no normal human would ever refuse. Because of this, they stop him from leaving and capture him. Then, one man from the tribe notices a strange mark behind Mariner's ear, the same mark that water fairies supposedly have. Terrified, they immediately push him into the sea. However, instead of letting him go, they pull him back out and lock him inside a cage. Now they plan to drown him and kill him, intending to use his body as manure, as they did with other humans. But before they can do this, sea raiders suddenly attack the tribe. These raiders weren't ordinary pirates. They were powerful and wealthy, equipped with massive, advanced weapons and flying ships, unlike anything anyone else possessed at that time. They opened fire mercilessly, raining bullets upon the tribe and leaving them in complete chaos. There was smoke. Everything was broken. The whole tribe was completely destroyed. Then when the owner of the shop sees the Mariner drowning, she comes to him and she says, "I can save you, but for this, you will have to take me on your boat," for which he agrees. Then Helen immediately breaks the lock of the cage and takes him out, after which he takes Helen and her daughter on his boat. Now here we find out that Helen's daughter has a tattoo on her waist, which is actually a map of an island, and this is the place where there is a lot of land, and these people can settle there. Here we find out the secret that the Mariner is really a water fairy. That's why he can breathe in the water. He tells Helen that one of you or your daughter will have to die, because we have very little water to drink, and if one of you dies, then all 3 of us will die because of thirst. Hearing this, Helen gets very worried, but she somehow convinces the Mariner to keep herself and her daughter alive. "I want to live," then we see the leader of the dangerous robbers, who is blind with one eye but very angry. He tells his people that somehow, "I want that child who has a map on his stomach," after which he gives a lot of cigarettes to all his friends and tells them to have fun along with them. He was enjoying himself, but then an old man comes and tells him the oil of the ship will be finished in a few days. Hearing this, the leader gets angry. Now here we find out that he is a little crazy as well as being blind because he dead what his heart wanted, then no matter what the result is. Here too he starts doing something like this. He was going to light his cigarette with the matchstick and throw it in the oil tanker, but before the tanker caught fire, his ship would have been destroyed. A man grabs the matchstick and extinguishes it to save the ship from being destroyed. After that, the leader sends his army to catch that tattooed girl there. The mariner was taking Helen and her daughter in his boat, but then the leader's comes and attacks them with an airplane, then to fight them, to bring weapons. The mariner goes to the lower part of the ship. Helen sees this and thinks that perhaps the mariner has left us and run away. That's why she herself attacks other people's ships with a weapon. Then as soon as the arrow hits her ship, it does not get destroyed, but the rope gets stuck on the ship. Now the robber ship starts moving around their boat, but then somehow the mariner comes and cuts the rope so that the robber's ship is free and goes from there. Now Helen had lost an arrow of that weapon. That's why the mariner is very angry with her and her daughter to punish them. He cuts their hair and then they start their journey again. They were moving forward, but then they see a ship in the water. Helen says that we should go to that ship so that we can get something to eat from there, although the mariner did not want to go to that ship. But he listens to Helen and goes to the owner of the ship. He goes there and finds out that he is actually a merchant, and he talks about buying Helen here, but in return, he had nothing to give to the mariner. But then he shows a paper to the mariner now, because there was a shortage of paper and no one had paper in this era. So the mariner tells Helen to go to the merchant for half an hour in exchange for that paper, and then as soon as Helen goes to him, he takes her to the lower part of the ship he had just gone. Then the mariner comes behind him and tells him that your time is over, but because it hasn't even been 5 minutes yet, the merchant's mind goes crazy. He attacks the mariner with a knife, but because the mariner was much more powerful than him, he kills him with his own knife. Now the mariner knew that Helen and her daughter were very hungry, so he jumps into the water and catches a very big fish, after which they eat their fill. Now, as time went by, the mariner and Helen's friendship was increasing where they had become very good friends. That's why he teaches Helen's daughter to swim now, where before he didn't like the two of them. Now they were each other's friends now. One day the mariner sees that there's another boat behind his boat. Now she doesn't understand anything about whose boat this is, but when Helen sees boat, she understands that it belongs to the seafarers. She tells the mariner about this. Additionally, they convey their intent to retrieve my daughter, because there is a map of a large land on her back, which is an island. When the mariner hears this, he says, I don't believe it. It's impossible because the whole world has been destroyed. How can this land be? Helen says, this is true. This land is really there because when I found this girl, she had mud in her hand, so you can guess that the mud can only be found on the ground. Then the secret is revealed that that girl is not Helen's daughter, but she found her in the water when she was drowning. And then Helen saved her life. Now hearing this, the mariner was very angry. That's why he locks Helen in a submarine and takes her into the depths of the water. Submarine is actually a small boat that is closed from all sides, and it is used only to go into the depths of the sea. Now Helen comes to the depths of the water and sees that there are magnificent buildings below which have drowned here due to the destruction of everything. Then when they come back up, they see that the seafarers have come very close to them. They come to their boat and catch them. The seafarer asks them, where is the girl who was with you now? Because they really didn't know anything about the girl. They say, we don't know this. Hearing this, the seafarer gets angry. That's why he orders them to kill them. Now we see the girl who was not anywhere else but under the same boat. She comes up after hearing the killing of the two. Seeing this, the seafarer immediately catches her. Now she had found the girl, but still he remains firm on his words. That is, he orders the seafarer and Helen to be killed immediately. But before that, the seafarer takes Helen into the water. The seafarers fire bullets at Helen, but somehow she escapes. Helen says to the seafarer, I'm a human. I cannot breathe in the water. Hearing this, the seafarer gives her his breath, because as I told you, she was a mermaid. Then after a while, when they come up, they see that the seafarers have destroyed their boat, but now because they didn't have any boat, they have to come to that destroyed boat. After that, they sit there and start talking. Then the seafarer gets a piece of paper in the water, which was the same thing that Sudiger had given to her in exchange for Helen. This paper also had a picture of that land. When he sees it, he understands that in fact there is still a part of the land where there is mud and life is possible there. But the map to go to that place is not with anyone else, but with that girl, that is, the tattoo on her stomach. That is why the seafarer decides that he will find that girl by doing anything, but the condition of their ship was not such that they would travel on it after that. A man comes in an airplane and starts calling Helen as soon as he sees him. Helen recognizes him because he was from his tribe. Smart thinking, so now he puts them both in his boat, after which he goes out to find those robbers after searching for a long time. The seafarer finds the robber's ship where he secretly gets on that side. After which he goes in front of the chief and says that hand over that girl to us, but that girl clearly refuses to give now after hearing these cars. The mariner puts the bomb he brought with him in the oil tanker, because of which there is a big explosion there, and a lot of robbers are killed. After this, the mariner starts looking for the girl, but the chief takes the girl and sits in an airplane and starts going from there. But before he could take the girl from there, the mariner only attacks with his own hand and stops the ship, because of which his ship was also destroyed. Then the man sitting in the oil tanker and Helen come here, and with the help of this, the mariner and the girl are pulled up. Then they see that there is a big explosion in the robber's ship, because of which all the remaining robbers are also killed. Then we see that the chief of the robbers is not dead yet, but he is still alive, who shoots the mariner. Now that bullet does not hit the mariner, but in a hurry, the girl falls from that well. Now the mariner sends his 3 boats to catch the girl, but before he could catch the girl at the right time, the mariner saves her by hanging on the rope, after which the 3 boats collide with each other and are destroyed, and finally they also die. There was also a chief on a ship. So now his game is over after this. We see that Helen's companion knew how to see the map. They reach the place where the land is through the map on the girl's stomach. They're very happy to come here. They also get a hut here as soon as they go in. They get 2 banners here, which was not someone else's but the parents of the girl, because this hut was his. There was also a tattoo weapon here, with the help of which his parents made a tattoo on the girl's stomach. After this, the mariner leaves these 3 there, takes his boat and goes into the water, because now he liked to stay in the water, after which Helen and the girl watch him go. As Waterworld reaches its conclusion, the discovery of Dryland feels like the long-awaited fulfillment of a myth that has guided so many desperate souls across the endless ocean. For Helen and Enola, it is more than just a safe haven. It represents the possibility of a new life, one rooted in stability, growth, and a return to the natural cycles of land. The emotional revelation that this patch of earth was once Enola's parents' home makes the journey even more meaningful, tying her mysterious tattooed map to her origins and to the destiny of all survivors searching for solid ground. Yet, as the others begin to imagine a future surrounded by earth instead of water, the mariner stands apart. His quiet decision to leave Dryland and return to the sea underscores the central paradox of his character. Though he has fought to protect and guide others toward hope, he himself is too deeply tied to the water to remain on land. His gills, his solitude, and his identity as a wanderer mark him as something beyond human, a man caught between myth and reality. This choice makes the ending both triumphant and bittersweet. Humanity has a second chance, but the mariner must continue alone, tethered to the ocean that both sustains and isolates him. Thematically, this ending serves as more than a resolution to the character's struggles. It suggests that survival is not only about reclaiming land, but about embracing one's place in the world, even if that place is uncertain or solitary. The mariner becomes a symbol of sacrifice and freedom, embodying the wild, uncharted nature of the water itself. In contrast, Helen and Enola's settlement on Dryland represents continuity, family, and the rebuilding of civilization. Together, these contrasting fates create a balance, one rooted in community and legacy, the other in the endless mystery of the sea. As a closing note, Waterworld leaves viewers with both satisfaction and reflection. It confirms that legends can be real, that hope can endure even in the harshest circumstances. But it also reminds us that not all heroes can share in the peace they help others find. The mariner sails away into myth once more, a lone guardian of the ocean, while Dryland becomes the beginning of a new chapter for humanity.